1, 2. What's up?
Morgan J, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for giving me a few minutes here. It's just me today. The other guy's flight got delayed because of the smoke crap
No.
going on.
Oh
So
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, isn't that wild?
it's all me here. It's all me.
That's a normal Tuesday in LA.
Yeah. are
That's
you
so
are you
normal.
guys getting any of that?
That won't well, because it rained so much this year, that probably won't happen
Mm.
this year.
Yeah, it's
It
super weird
rained
here.
so much that like all the reservoirs like it was like a miracle rain that we
Yeah,
got this year.
yeah. It was like yellow today. It was really strange. It was just like
Yeah, no,
a
during the
haze.
pandemic when we had those crazy fires, it was like that. Like it was very bizarre.
Yeah, super bizarre. But yeah, thanks for giving us a few minutes here. It's funny. I found you. Probably the way a lot of people found you. I saw these clips, and I went down a wormhole one day and would listen to a bunch of them, and before you know it, I found myself like singing responses like
Oh,
to my
really?
wife. Like there's something
Yeah.
about your act that has, it definitely has an appeal, and it kind of lasts in your head. I'm curious. Um, did you start stand up like straight stand up delivery, or have you always been doing the music thing?
Yeah, no, I was doing straight stand up for about 6 years. And
Yeah.
then I started incorporating the guitar into it as an experiment, not as like this is what I'm going to do now. And then one thing kind of built off the other and people really it spoke to people, you know. And
Yeah.
I mean, damn, yeah, like where I'm at now. A part of me wishes that when I had started, I just started with the music. I mean, damn, because I don't know.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
like I've followed a bunch of music acts over the years, and it I feel like it either goes fantastic or it could be really be a painful experience. Like I feel like bombing is one thing, but how is it developing that act? What is bombing like when you have song? Is it actually like a does it
I
help you, or does it
I
is it
had the benefit. I had the benefit of developing a lot of the act in music shows. So
okay?
I was performing at shows that weren't comedy shows. So I say that because the benefit is there was no people. The expectation was low for laughs. So like honestly there was zero expectations to laugh at anything, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I got to really mess around in that space, and I had longer sets at music shows. You get like 20 minutes. Now at this point in my career, uh, I have enough music where if I'm doing a 15-minute set, I can pepper in a new song between two songs that I know are good, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So and also I've developed a little bit of clout where I have a little bit of leeway, and also I can just go up with no material and see what happens. Also, I have the benefit I have a unique tone to my voice that's kind
Yep.
of warm and
Inviting.
relaxing
Yes.
and inviting, and so I think that that also plays a part into it, because even if a joke doesn't go like well, or a line doesn't hit the way I wanted it to, at least I am you know I'm singing nice, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it does because I was going to ask you, like, I played in bands growing up all through college, out of college, and I. It's funny transitioning to stand up where you're you're alone, on stage. So you're
Right.
taking the successes you're taking by yourself, which is amazing feeling. I did this, but you know, the failures is also all you, and you get these long drives
Yeah.
home and long. And I kind of miss that camaraderie of having music. Hey, this gig sucks, but we're getting through it together. Where there's
Yeah.
four guys that you play an instrument. I was wondering if if you're having a rough set, are you able to just be like, I get to play my guitar, it's something to kind of soften the blow in a way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there are shows, bar shows or corporate events that are at a gala where people are eating, or
Yeah.
events where people aren't listening.
Right.
And I think that those are the days when it's kind of a blessing to have the guitar, because
Yes.
then I can just sing my songs, and if nobody listens, then it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
is
know.
there
Y'all
any?
have the opportunity to enjoy this. If you don't want to,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know what I mean?
I can count. I can't even count how many terrible fundraisers or surprise Christmas party when the people don't know there's going to be comedy, and you try to get people to sit down and listen, and all they want to do is talk and enjoy it. Like
No,
surprise comedy just never seems to work.
no,
No.
no. And when I do get booked for private events, I try to be like, so what is the vibe? I try to really investigate. When are you going to have me go on stage? And what's going to be happening at that time? Is somebody going to introduce me?
Yeah.
And how are they going to introduce me? I know, and in the email, I'm like, I know this all seems superfluous to you, but for me, I need to know because if for you guys who've never produced a comedy show, you think that we just show up and we're hilarious.
Yes.
But when you go to a comedy club, people have been drinking. It's the nighttime. People have made an active choice to go see comedy. When you're at
Correct.
a corporate event or a private event, nobody has made the choice to see a comedy show. So, I'm like, I'll do it on the condition of somebody is going to introduce me, quiet everybody down, and sit everybody down in a place and say, this is what's happening for the next 30 minutes.
Right.
Um, you know, I've said no to events because I'm like, listen, I know in your mind this is how you think it's going to go, but I know how it's going to go, right? Like I said no to weddings, and the
Yeah.
thing is, when you do those events, if it doesn't go well and it does and everything nobody likes it, it's your fault, right? It's
Right.
not because they served the buffet when you went on, right? It's not
Right.
because there's like children, grandparent, like there's all. So that's why I'm like very clear with communication about it. You know,
Yeah.
I think we got off topic, but as far as like
No, no.
with those bad sets, having the guitar is good, but at this point in my career, I'm usually pretty clear as far as like if I do get booked on a gig, you know,
Yeah.
I try to do damage control prior to or manage expectations prior to.
Yeah. I always say comedy is honestly one of the easiest things to set up, but so many people just blow it. Like they just
Yeah,
put it in corners of bars with TVs on or tables
yeah.
far away or
Or the venue's wrong. You're doing like the. There's just so many things, and then people who host it sometimes it's like not, you know, yeah. I literally like, yeah. I just be trying to set expectations. That's all. I don't know. It becomes clear. I used to run shows, and I remember I would ask bigger acts to do the shows,
Mhm.
and they would say no, or like I can't do it, and it makes sense. When you get to like, look, I'm not by any means like a huge comedian, but I'm touring, I'm traveling. If I do a show in Los Angeles, I don't promote as heavy anymore.
Yeah.
If and I try to be clear with the person who booked me. I said, look, it's not that I'm trying to big time you. It's that like I have people who might drive an hour or 2 hours to see me, and if I promote a show that I'm only doing a 15-minute set, that I don't feel like that's fair to them. And
Yeah.
especially if I'm not going to get paid or for the draw of bringing people to a show. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that because like I had a son in the last 2 years and
Oh, congrats, man.
I've really no, thank you. But I've really had to, be a lot more selective in what gigs I take because it makes sense. I got to watch the kid, so
Yeah.
it's hard to go. Tell my wife I'm going to do the $10 bar show for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
but I have learned through that like the power of saying no to gigs actually makes. I just think it makes me it makes me feel like a better comic because it's more selective, choosing
Yeah, and
gigs where I'm
it
getting
adds
more
value.
valuable stage time.
Absolutely. It adds value to your time, to your comedy, to your worth. Yeah, I 100% agree with that for sure.
Yeah. So take us like were you always a musician growing up? Or was it you just diddled around with the guitar, or was music ever like in the plans for you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was playing piano for 10 years.
Okay.
Um, but I just couldn't, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 came out and I just didn't want to practice piano anymore. You know what I mean?
It was two that got you.
Yeah, truly, it was. I had a piano teacher who basically walked out on me during a lesson because he was like, "You didn't practice," and I was like, "I didn't. I was playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 all week." And
Trying to play
that was
Goldfinger's Superman over and over again.
yeah, and that was that was basically like the last straw for that. I had one of those teachers where the money wasn't important. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
there
Like,
was like he saw potential in people, and he was just sort of like, I will do this at like a discounted rate. Da 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 da. You have the, and I just didn't, you know, I wish I stayed with it. I'm gonna be full disclosure,
of course, yeah.
but it was just too. It was just too much. It was a lot, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's just part of life, right? Just being like, I wish I stuck with that. I wish I stuck with this,
Yeah,
uh,
there's little things. Yeah, for sure.
like, I see. I'm almost through your special, which we'll get to a second.
Yeah.
About 3/4 of the way through. It's great, and we'll
Oh,
get to
thanks,
that in a
man.
second. I feel like your act and your presence on comedy and your ability to make these clips and the combination of social media has to be almost a perfect fit for you because it's very cool to see a singing crowd work clip because it stands out.
Yeah.
It's not just some guy saying how long you've been married, or you're able to chop pieces of songs, or people are like, "Hey, I want maybe he'll play that live." Like I feel like it's almost a perfect tool for
Yeah.
you. And I see you almost have 1 million followers on TikTok.
We're close. We're very close.
150 something on Instagram. So like, did that really is that really what kind of launched you into kind of where the attention you're getting now
Yeah,
and yeah,
100%. You know, the pandemic for me was a time of pivoting when nobody would do shows. I was doing the Zoom shows.
me
I
too. Yeah.
repurposed all the footage that I had from old shows and started posting it on TikTok, and that kind of led to the bump. And luckily, I got in early on kind of this little gold rush. You know what I mean? Um, but you know, and I've learned that skill of how to post and consistency. I mean, look, I've posted almost 800 things on TikTok, right?
Right.
Like if you look through, right? So is it that I'm amazing, or is it that I just been posting a lot and I've been at bat a lot, and because I've been batting
Law of
so much that I've had
averages.
a
Yeah.
couple of clips that went viral, right? So like what is it, right? And so I think it's just a matter of me, like, are my clips amazing? No, I think they're quality. I do think some of them are dog shit, but I also think it's one of those things where you just kind of gotta have to keep posting. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
Uh,
a great baseball player, fails 7 out of 10 times, right?
right. They have a point,
Right.
right? So like, because I have friends who are like, hey, I posted 10 clips and none of them went viral, and it's like, well, I posted almost 1,000 and only two went viral. So
Hmm.
you know, I think that it's just one of those things where it's consistency. You kind of have to distance yourself from outcome with these algorithms, because these companies, they change the algorithms every day. They change, on any given day they really can just choose to suppress a post because they want you to pay for advertising.
Right.
So that's like that's a real thing
Oh,
too.
I know. Yeah.
And so I do know there's like certain fundamentals to posting on social media that can help every comedian. Audio is number one. Audio is more important than video, right? So people could watch anything with bad video, but if it has bad audio, they don't want to listen to it.
Right.
Um, so that, like, you could shoot it on an iPhone, and as long as the if you can get like a copy of the audio from the soundboard, that's like that plus maybe some audio of the crowd, you're golden. If you can get all your clips with clean audio, like, that's going to be huge.
It's
Yeah,
funny you said that. Like, I remember in the early days of this podcast, like, we've been doing this 9 years, and like, just posting links and tweeting things and getting into Facebook groups, like the numbers were amazing. Like, it was just like
yeah,
things were getting clicked on, and it was like organic. Like, you would post something, every one of your actual friends would see it, and now it's just like every year it's like figuring out how to get out of that like squash territory without paying and it's
yeah.
really interesting, like, to try to figure out what is best, what is worth throwing some money into, what is not. Like, I would love to know. Like, it just seems like you're right, it is always changing too.
Yeah, I mean, look, for example, for the comedy special, if you want to know what the social media strategy for that is, like, while the editor was editing the full special, I had my intern editing formatting it for social media, right? Clips about 80 clips for social
Mhm.
media, which I'm going to be posting over the next several months.
Yep.
And posting that with consistency. I forgot there was one thing. Oh, so this first month where I'm posting clips every day, we're gonna see what clips perform the best organically,
Right.
and then among those, then we'll decide which one we're gonna actually throw. So like I have one that's it's gonna hit 1 million probably,
Mhm.
and that's the video, and I haven't had to pay anything, but with that, that's the video that I'll probably put $1,000 behind,
Okay.
on TikTok, right? Because that's the one people are gonna watch.
Right.
If they want to watch it already without me having to pay, imagine if I could get it out to other people who've never even
Right.
seen me,
If it's hitting already, like it's got an organic audience, you just
Yeah,
multiply it, like
exactly.
a multiplier. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's the strategy for that.
Does does that get exhausting? Because we are admittedly not the greatest self promoters, and I think it hurts us sometimes, honestly. But we try. Does that almost become like the full time job in a way? Like the performing's like, yeah, I got this part of this down. Like I'm a performer. I've been working
Yeah.
this craft forever. That's almost like another craft, and I know it can become a full time job just the online presence.
Yeah, you definitely do have to know a little bit about marketing, how to market. I'll say I have help with it now.
Yeah, of
In the
course.
first
Yeah,
year I didn't, and it was a lot of work. But for me, the end goal is to sell tickets to shows, right?
right.
So if we look at these apps as a way to promote yourself, the money that I spend on an editor or promoting a thing is worth it. You
Yeah,
know,
it come back in ticket
uh,
sales. Yeah.
it comes back in ticket sales or
Hmm.
going live every day for 15 to 20 minutes. I'll sell several tickets going live every day. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to learn how to balance it. I mean, luckily I'm backlogged with the special for the next 2 or 3 months,
Right.
right? But and then I have a fall tour, and I literally just got a phone call. I got off a phone call with my reps, my agents, and my manager, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm not going to do any headlining gigs until I start going on tour
Right.
because I just kind of got to hit the lab and just like take a step back from like constantly just putting out crowd work stuff.
Hmm.
You know, I have to like go to shows here in LA and like try some new shit.
Well, that was going to be one of
You
my
know what I mean?
questions as we got to the special. Like, we'll come back to that point, but let's get into the special. Let's get into
Sure.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
special here. So the special just came out on the 31st, I
First,
believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesday a week ago, yeah.
So I would tell anybody listening, um, there's a little something there for everyone.
Yep.
It's very I'm not blowing smoke up his ass. He's a very likable guy. It's shot very cool. It's very different. You got people sitting on the floor. You got you feel like you're kind of in the room that you shot it in, and we'll get into that. Um, but it's really well done. So
Thank you,
it
man.
just came out on the 31st. So tell us, was this all self produced? Like, where did the idea come from? You're kind of like it feels like you're in a living room almost.
Yeah, so I'm actually pulling up the analytics right now.
Mhm.
Um, so I had done the Fringe Festival and I performed my special. I performed the hour pretty, every day, once a
Mhm.
day.
Right.
And it just sort of like I had to just put something out. I hadn't put something out in 3 years, and the first special did so well, and I was like, I was lucky enough to book a couple of jobs that paid me really well, and I was like, I'm gonna fund this myself, you
Right.
know. Um, the vision though was I wanted to do an intimate show, not because I didn't think I could fill a bigger room. I mean, I know what I was probably averaging, 200 to 300 tickets and on Wednesdays and Sundays. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I could have done a club, I could have done something like that, you know, but I just felt like a lot of comedy specials they lack a certain personal energy
Yes.
that
Yep.
when you watch a special with where there's an audience of 2,000, 3,000 people,
You lose it.
I don't
Yep.
yeah, I just sort of feel like I'm watching something that happened, right?
To me, when it gets to a certain size or whatever you want to call it, it kind of feels like a halftime show rather than a comedy show. If that
Yeah.
makes it's a spectacle more than hey, I'm in the club with this guy.
Right. So, that's why I was sort of like, let me make something intimate. Let me do shots where I look into the crowd. And also do it in a recording studio so that
Yes, that was
people,
the other part I wanted to mention.
yeah, because it is so musical that I wanted it to have like a I just wanted it to feel different and have the audio sound exceptional, and um have that sort of like history behind the space that we were in. I don't know if you in the special, like, that room was really built for Fleetwood Mac,
Mhm.
you know, and that whole space feels very like iconic, when you walk through it.
There's immediately when I watched the special, I don't know if you've ever been, but in New Orleans, there's a place called Preservation Jazz Hall,
Yeah,
and it was a jazz hall they built in like 1900, and essentially every night they have jazz, and they haven't changed a single thing, and they just fill the room. They do maybe like 2 shows a night. They fill it's probably the same size as the studio did it. You got people sitting on the floor around the band.
yeah,
Um, and it was probably my favorite experience in New Orleans, and it kind of reminded me of that
yeah.
exact vibe.
Yeah, and I definitely have had people give me feedback like, "Hey, it did feel like we were in the room," and because most people are going to be watching on their phone anyway, or their mobile device, or in their
Right.
bed in their bed right before they go to sleep. So I wanted it to have that energy where you could watch it and feel like you're in the room with us.
So how much prep went into like preparing and getting the camera set up, and the other question I had, like, were you able to do multiple takes because the audience is so visible in the room? I was wondering like how you went about. Okay, a lot of people do two,
Yeah,
4 takes of the show
we did.
and edit them together.
We found the space in October of last year, and then I settled down with a company about a month after that, and then there was about a month of prep as far as the production going. The director and the DP and the other two other producers, they walked through the space several times, and then we actually had the space for from 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. So we had a couple hours to set up, and then we shot 2 shows. We shot some B-roll footage and things like that, and that was that. We had 2 takes to do it. The first take went perfect, basically end to end. There were no mistakes.
Hmm.
And then I got a little too buzzed for the second show, so we only were able to use like 10 or 15% of the second show. But that's okay. I mean, that's okay. So, because the first special I only did it once,
Okay.
which is so wild because this special, like the other first special, I hit at a time when nobody knew who I was, right? So like there was a certain level of virality with it. They just had seen me.
Yep.
So now I'm trying to do that again, but on a bigger scale, and it is tough, you know.
What's your head like on the day of filming this? I know a lot of
Well,
people talk about being nervous, talk about trying to go through their normal routine, not changing a thing. What are you like going into it?
I honestly felt very confident because I had really ran this hour a lot,
Mhm.
you know. I knew the songs were good, and if anything, it was just going to be kind of like a content machine.
Right.
Like I'm looking at my numbers now. Right now, it's at like 37,300 views, which is okay. It's not, I would have loved to do numbers like Stavros or Mateo Lane or
Yep.
those people, obviously. Um, but my YouTube channel's small. I only have 45,000 subscribers. Uh, but as far as the day of, I was okay. That's why this was the first. I wanted the last special. I like was in complete control, and this one I kind of relinquished a lot of control to the
Right.
the, the production team. They set up the cameras. I did a sound check. I chilled out, and then I just did my show twice. I
And
didn't have
then
to break.
now,
I didn't have to set up or break down, which was amazing.
yeah. And
Yeah.
now when I noticed leading up to the special, or when the special was coming out, you had talked about you were trying to shop it to different places, and you ended up
No.
um, deciding to put it out yourself. Like, was that experience a pretty terrible one, or was there a point where you're just like, screw this,
No.
I'm just
That
doing
was.
this myself? That seems
Yeah.
to
No.
be where it's going right now too, at the moment.
Yeah. that was very straightforward. I mean, that was so that you know, there's a post where I have all these emails, and if I'm being
Yes.
completely honest, the emails are all fake, but the feedback is all real.
Okay.
So because obviously I don't have a direct line to these people. I have a manager though,
Hmm.
and my manager reached out to everybody, and then he emailed me back. Basically, everybody said no, but this was all the feedback they gave. You know, and I just sort of repurposed that into like a story. Um, so you know what I mean, to like get people to talk about it. I think you know, I think that is going to be the model going forward.
Yep.
I think for these streaming networks, for them, it's kind of like they don't have anything to lose. You know, if something performs well on YouTube, then they can just be like, okay, we're gonna buy that now, and we'll license it and put it on our platform.
It's true. Yeah. And that
You
it's
know,
probably
so
even
then
easier for them. Let no production. Yeah.
there's no production for them.
Just
Yeah,
write a paycheck.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know comedians with more comedy clout and gravitas than I do that are getting those.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who put
Hmm.
money into productions that Netflix or whoever will say no to.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the special is great. So please go check that out. And I guess they could basically just Google Morgan J, and it comes up immediately. It's on YouTube now. I did want to ask you. You kind of touched on it before. Now that the the specials out, um, and that material, most people say they kind of burn the material and go through it. And you kind of mentioned it that you need to take a step back, get back in the lab. Is that like a freeing feeling for you, or is that kind of nerve wracking at the same time?
Yeah, it's actually pretty freeing. You know, the first special that I put out, I was always really terrified to put it out because I was like, "Oh no, I'm never going to write music as good as this." But then
Hmm.
as soon as I did, um I don't know, it freed me up to do more stuff. And I think with this being out now, you know, same thing. You know, I already have a bunch of stuff kind of ready to go, but I kind of want to do some more material. You know what I mean?
Now,
And
now with the musical act, do you find that you could also like, you know, pull out the greatest hits, if you will, like at a show? Like, can
oh
you be,
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's one of the kind of that's really the big leg up I have on traditional stand up
right,
is that people come to my shows wanting to sing the hooks, the lyrics, wanting to sing along. They're
yep,
excited. I already have people DMing me now like cannot wait for the LOL ja ja ja
yeah,
at the show. That's going to be tough because I'm not really going to be able to bring a piano player on the road with me, so I'm going to kind of have to figure out how to do that on my own. You know?
yeah, yeah. Because like the two people I could ever remember, like where you know they were able to repeat jokes. I think of Andrew Dice Clay. People go for reciting the lines of the poems, and then I
Hickory
think of
dickory dock,
and then I think
right?
of like Bert Kreischer. He's got to tell the machine story every time he goes up. But like other
That's
than that,
even more interesting. You know, it's funny. I have not seen the Machine Story
no, really.
or like the hot. Remember the Hot Pocket, Jim Gaffigan's Hot Pocket show. Everybody loves the
Absolutely.
Hot Pocket joke.
Or like tater
I,
salad, like
yeah,
from
I have to
like
just go. I just have to go watch the Machine thing, the
yeah.
story,
I mean, it's crazy now to see him just from
because
that
now the
telling
movie
that
came out.
story. The movie came out last weekend. Like it's just unbelievable. Mark Hamill's his dad. Like what? It's just
Yeah,
crazy where something like that can go these days. So, um, but
yeah.
Morgan, congrats on the special, man.
Thank you,
It's
man.
really cool. I like that you did it. It seems like you did it completely in your style, and you put out something
Yeah,
unique, which is, look, it's hard, but it's also pretty rewarding when it seems to be exactly what you wanted or what you explained, and
yeah.
I think people should go check it out. If people want to follow you, check you out, or see the special, where's the best places for them to go?
Just go to morganj.com. The special is right at the top of the page, and
Mhm.
we have a fall tour, so it's there. You could also Google me; then it should pop up. But yeah, that's basically that's all you got to do at this
That's it,
point.
man.
That's how you know you made it. Just Google me, and it will
That's
pop
it.
up.
You
Yeah.
won't be disappointed. Please check out Morgan's special. Go follow him on TikTok, Instagram. There's a lot of great content for everyone. Morgan, thank you, man. Stay safe out
Ah,
there, and
thank you, brother.
hopefully, maybe we can connect when you're on the East Coast.
That sounds good. But yeah, I'm thinking about well, I'm going to be there in September. I'm going to be headlining the Sony Hall. It's going to be my first theater.
Very cool.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a beautiful theater too.
so I'm nervous, but I'm excited, and we'll see what we do.
That's awesome, man.
You know,
Yeah, so hopefully we can connect, or I'll come out to your show or whatnot. So, thanks so much, man, and
yeah.
take care.